Adriana, go. Yeah. Can you use the old one, please? Use Adriana, turn the thing off. I don't have time for this. I'm starting class now. Okay, all right. Hold on. Gary, I hope we're clear that we still have zero work from you. Zero this quarter. Zero. Nada. So if you have any desire of passing the course, I will need work from you. When you start begging in May, this happens every year. Oh, what can I do, please? What can I do to pass your class? Well, you needed to do the work. Okay. Alex, I have zero work from you this quarter. Zero. If you want to pass this course, you're going to need to do the work. Okay. Hello, Brian. Hello, Carl Daniels. Hello, Karen. Hello, Misa. Hi, Nina. Hello, Devon. Okay, Karen. Karen, you didn't do today's assignment on Delta Math, did you? Hello, Keem. I just burned 2,000 calories. That's the last time I leave brownies in the oven while I nap. Always borrow money from a pessimist. They'll never expect it back. Build a man a fire and he'll be warm for the day. Set a man on fire and he'll be warm for the rest of his life. I don't suffer from insanity. I enjoy every minute of it. The last thing I want to do is hurt you, but it's still on the list. The problem isn't that obesity runs in your family. It's that no one runs in your family. That's terrible. I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down. Doctor, there's a patient on line 1 that says he's invisible. Doctor says, well, tell him I can't see him right now. Atheism is a nonprofit organization. A recent study has found that women who carry a little extra weight live longer than the men who mention it. That's funny. All right. Today we're going to start something called distance, the distance between 2 points. All right. And for this lesson, I'm going to need you to remember your perfect squares, right? The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 16 is 4. The square root of 25 is 5. The square root of 36 is 6. Square root of 49 is 7. The square root of 64 is 8. The square root of 81 is 9. The square root of 100 is 10. The square root of 121 is 11. The square root of 144 is 12. Square root of 169 is 13. Square root of 196 is 14. Square root of 225 is 15. That's 1 through 15. Okay. So when you simplify square roots, for example, the square root of 8. The square root of 8, when you simplify square roots, remember back in Algebra 1, where you take what one of the point is this with the square root of 8, one of these perfect squares, okay, one of these perfect squares evenly goes into 8. All right. Well, which one? Well, 4. So square root of 8 is square root of 4 times the square root of 2, because 4 times 2 is 8. Well, what is the square root of 4? The square root of 4 is 2. So your answer is 2 square root of 2. That's how you simplify square root of 8. Same thing with 12. What perfect square evenly goes into 12? Well, square root of 4 times square root of 3. Square root of 4 times square root of 3 is square root of 12. Well, what is the square root of 4? The square root of 4 is 2. So your answer is 2 square root of 3. Can I have a thumbs up, please, if you understand what I'm talking about here? Thank you, Nina. Carl Daniels, thank you. Karen, thank you. Alex, thank you. Devon, Mesa, Akeem, thank you. Zakiah, thank you. Kiara, Amaya, thank you. Good. Okay. Very good, very good. All right. What about the square root of 125? Which of those perfect squares goes into 125? Well, 25 goes into 125. 25 times 3. Well, what is the square root of 25? Square root of 25 is 5. So your answer is 5 square root of 3. Okay. What about square root of 98? What perfect square evenly goes into 98? 49 goes into 98. 49 times 2 is 98. So square root 49 times square root 2 is square root 98. What's the square root of 49? 7 times square root of 2. Okay. That's called simplifying square roots. Okay. And I have one more thumbs up if you're still clear on how we simplify square roots. Thank you, Nina. Karen, Devon, Carl Daniels, thank you. Amaya, Alex, Nisa, thank you. Hilda, thank you. Carl Berry, thank you. Very good. The Nelson, thank you. Okay. All right. Next. So here's the question. The question now is, what's the distance between these 2 points? All right. So for example, this is the point 2, 1, and this is the point 6, 4. Okay. Hold on 1 second. My dog's screaming to come inside. I'll be right back. Don't go away. Don't go away. Okay. So here's what we do. We do this. I am going to make this a right triangle. Hold on a second. All right. I'm going to make a right triangle. Here's my right angle, okay? I've made a right triangle. And we know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I want to find the green line. Well, what is this length right here? What is this length right here? Okay. Well, isn't this 1, 2, 3, right? This is 3. Okay. So what's this length right here? Isn't this length 1, 2, 3, 4? This is 4, right? So now how do I find out this length right here? Well, I do 3 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared, right? So I'm going to do 3 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared, right? 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16 equals c squared. 9 plus 16 is 25. And I take the square root. So c equals 5. Right? Well, let me ask you a question. I'm going to back up for a second. How did I get 3? Now, you might say, well, Mr. Weiss, you counted. You went like this. You started here, and you went 1, 2, 3. Well, is there an easier way to do it? Because like this is 4, right? And this is 1. What can I do with the numbers 4 and 1 that gets me 3? Couldn't I subtract 4 minus 1? So here's my point. I'm going to go back up here and say instead of 3, I'm going to call this right here 4 minus 1, right? Because that's how I got my 3. Over here, how did I get 4? Well, let me ask you this. If this is 2 over here, and this is 6 over here, how do I get 4 from the numbers 6 and 2? Don't I subtract 6 minus 2? 6 minus 2, right? Okay. So what's happening here? Well, here's what's happening. I'm going to call this point 1 right here. Here's point 1. I'm going to call this point 2. This is point 2. All right. So we have 6, 4. Would you agree that 6 is the x value and 4 is the y value, right? I'm going to call that x for point 1, and that's y for point 1. 6 is x1, 4 is y1, right? And then over here, all right, 2 is the x value, and 1 is the y value, right? So that's x for point 2 and y for point 2, right? So over here, oops, I did 4 minus 1, right? 4, here's 4, and here's 1. All right. So that is, in other words, y1 minus y2 squared. And what is the other one? The other one, I did 6 minus 2, right? Which is x2, or x1 minus x2 squared, right? After that, I took the square root. And this here is the formula for distance. Okay. All right. This is all a bunch of blah, blah, blah for finding the distance. Okay, so here's what I'm saying. I'm saying, well, I'm going to do another example. Okay. Here's my next example. All right. Here's 1, 6, and 9, 2. What's the distance between these 2 points? All I have to do is take this 6 minus this 2. Okay. What's 6 minus 2? 6 minus 2 is 4, right? Then I'm going to square it. Okay. Then I'm going to take this guy minus this guy. What's 1 minus 9? 1 minus 9 is -8. Right? But I square it. -8 times -8 is positive 64. What's 6 minus 2? 6 minus 2 is 4. What's 4 times 4? 16. 16 plus 64 is 80. Okay, I take the square root of 80. Now here's the whole point. You remember all the way back here where I was simplifying square roots, right? Which of these perfect squares goes into 80, right? If I want to do the square root of 80, one of these perfect squares evenly goes into 80. Which one? 16 times 5. What's the square root of 16? 4 and then square root of 5. 4 square root of 5 is the answer down here. Okay. This distance right here is going to be 4 square root of 5. What did I do? I took 6 minus 2 squared. I took 1 minus 9 squared, and then took the square root. Okay, where did I get 5 from? Good question. All right, I'm going to back up. Okay, here's 80, right? All right, 80, what perfect square evenly goes into 80? Okay, up here. 16 right here is the perfect square that evenly goes into 80. 16 times what is 80? 16 times 5 equals 80. If you do that on your calculator, 16 times 5 equals 80. That's where 5 comes from. What's the square root of 16? 4. Your answer is 4 square root of 5. Okay. So here's my point. What's your point, Mr. Weiss? Oh, I'm going to show you. My point is we don't have to do this on a graph. Right? We can just take any 2 points and we don't have to graph. All right. So I'm going to give you an example. All right. What if I said 3, 1, and 5, 7? Okay. Here's how you do this problem. What's the distance between these 2 points? Here's what we do. We're going to take the square root of what minus what? 5 minus 3, the x's. 5 minus 3. We square it. That's a squared. Plus 7 minus 1 squared. What's 5 minus 3? 5 minus 3 is 2. What's 2 squared? 4. What's 7 minus 1? 7 minus 1 is 6. What's 6 squared? 36. What's 4 plus 36? 40. Now that would be my answer, except, is there a perfect square that goes into 40? Which of those perfect squares evenly goes into 40? Doesn't 4 go into 40? 4 goes into 40, right? Very good, Devon. Okay. 4 goes into 40. So if I say, what's the distance between these 2 points, and you just say square root of 40, Delta Math isn't going to be happy about that. You're going to have to say, well, sorry, that's square root of 4 times square root of 10. What's the square root of 4? The square root of 4 is 2. So your answer is 2 square root of 10. That's the answer. Let's take a look, all right, on Delta Math. Here's what your problem will look like. Okay. Find the distance between these 2 points. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these 2 points, 3, -8, and -6, 4. All right. What I have to do is this. Square root of what minus what? I'm going to say 4 minus -8. I have to subtract those numbers. 4 minus -8. I got to square it. Plus -6 minus 3 squared. Okay. What's 4 minus -8? 4 minus -8 is 12, right? Because minus minus is a plus. What's 12 squared? 12 squared is 144. What happened to the points? What do you mean, what happened to the points? They look twisted around. All right, here's what I'm saying. Let's see if this makes sense. Hold on. let me go back to here. All right. So like here, here's 2 points. 2 points were 6, 4, and 2, 1. What did I do? I subtracted, right, 4 minus 1 and 6 minus 2. I don't even need to graph the points. I took that, oops. I took this number here and I subtracted this number here, 4 minus 1. And then I took this number here and I subtracted this number here, right? Okay. All right. So that's what I'm doing. Over here, you see this 4 right here. Here's 4. I'm doing minus 8. And then I'm doing -6, and I'm doing -3. What's -6 minus 3? That's -9. What's -9 times -9? 81. 144 plus 81 is 225. Okay. Now, what's the square root of 225? Wait a minute. Square root of 225. Hold on a second. Square root of 225. Remember all the way up here? Look at that. Square root of 225. All the way in the right corner there. What's the square root of 225? 15. Oh. My answer then is 15. So I type 15. There we go. I'm going to do another one. Okay. Here we go. What minus what? I'm going to take -1 minus -9. Do you see -1 over here? Do you see -9 here? I subtract those two numbers, -1 minus -9. And I square it. Plus, you see this -3 over here? I take -3 minus 5, and I square it. What's -1 minus -9? Or -1 plus 9 is 8. 8 squared is 64. What's -3 minus 5? That's -8. -8 times -8 is 64. 64 plus 64 is 128. Well, what perfect square goes into 128? Does it make sense that 64 goes into 128? 64 times 2 is 128. Well, what's the square root of 64? Square root of 64 is 8. Square root of 2. So my answer, 8. Then I have to hit this square root guy, square root, and then put 2. Okay. Ooh, you may get a problem like this, okay? What if you get this? Okay. What's the distance between these 2 points? Well, what do I do here? Here, you got to tell me what these points are. Okay. So what's this point here? This point here is -8, -1. Okay. -8, -1. And what's this point down here? This point down here is -2, -9. -2, -9. All right. So now what's the distance? Okay, I'm going to take -9, -1. Here we go. Square root -9 minus -1. Then I'm going to take -2 minus -8. Okay. -9 minus -1 is -8. Squared is 64. What's -2 minus -8? -2 minus -8 is -2 plus 8 is 6. 6 squared is 36. What's 64 plus 36? 100. Oh, what's the square root of 100? 10. Okay. So my answer is 10. So I don't always need a square root in my answer. Boom. Okay. So I'm giving you just 4 of these type of problems. 4 of these. Okay. Do another graph one. I will do another graph one. You got it. Here we go. Okay. What is this point right here? This point is -8, -4. Okay. -8, -4. What's this point here? This point is 0, -8. 0, -8. Okay. So first, I'm going to say, what's this guy minus this guy? Okay. -8 minus -4 squared. And the other one, what's 0 minus -8 squared? -8 minus -4 is -4. -8 plus 4 is -4. -4 squared is 16. What's 0 minus -8? Or 0 plus 8 is 8. 8 squared is 64. 64 plus 16 is 80. Oh, remember 80? What perfect square goes into 80? 16. 16 times 5 is 80. What's the square root of 16? 4. Square root of 5. Ah, so answer is 4. Hit the square root thing. 5. Boom. Yes. Okay. I've given you 4 of these problems, and then there's going to be 4 like this where you don't have to do all that work. What? Here, let me show you what I'm talking about. 4 problems are going to look like this. I got -6, 6. And 3, -6. I'm going to do this guy and this guy. What's the square root of -6 minus 6? And what's the square root of 3 minus -6? Okay. -6 minus 6 is 12. -12. -12 squared is 144. What's 3 minus -6? 3 minus -6 is 9. 9 squared is 81. 144 plus 81 is 225. Oh, remember 225? Square root of 225 is 15. So my answer is 15. Okay, what about here? Okay. I'm going to take -3, 0, and 5, -3. I'm going to use this guy and this guy first. What's the square root of -3 minus 0? And what's the square root of 5 minus -3? Okay. -3 minus 0 is -3. -3 squared is 9. What's 5 plus 3? 8. And 8 is 64. What's 9 plus 64? 9 plus 64 is 73. Now, here's what you have to do. Do you remember how to do square root on your calculator? On your handy dandy phone calculator. If you type 73 and then you hit square root, it's the X with the little 2 in there, and you get 8.54. See that? 8.544. It says, the question says round to the nearest tenth. That just means 8.5. 8.5. So I just put 8.5 because it says to the nearest tenth. There we go. So 4 problems you have to do with the square root, and then 4 problems you just give me a decimal answer. All right. Okay. Oh, shoot, I didn't show you the decimal answer. Well, it came up correct. Okay. So today your assignment is in Delta Math. All right, there's the link. All right. If you please ask questions if you have questions, okay? There's only 8 problems today, 4 of each, okay? Please ask me if you don't understand. I will be right back. 2 minutes. And please start your assignment. Be right back. Oh, yes. Sorry, thank you. Um, can you give me the 2 points? What are the 2 points? Okay. Oops. You said -8, -6, and -3, -4. So I'm going to do square root of -4 minus -6 squared plus -3 minus -8 squared. Okay. -4 minus -6, or -4 plus 6 is 2. 2 squared is 4. -3 minus -8, -3 plus 8 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So your answer is square root 29. So if you're on the section that you put square root it as your answer, then this is your answer, square root 29. Okay. If, however, you need a decimal, you have to type square root 29 in your calculator. So 29 and square root, and you get 5.38. 5.38 rounds to 5.4. So if it's the decimal answer, it's this. If it's a square root answer, it's that. Does that help, Devon? Does that make sense? You're welcome. Thank you for asking. Okay. Hold on a second. All right, Devon, you're good to go. Have a good day. Say no to drugs. Yes, Karen. All right, Karen, you said you have -8, 6 and -6, 0. I'm going to take 0 minus 6 squared, meaning this guy and this guy, plus -6 minus -8 squared. Okay, so 0 minus 6 is -6, squared is 36. -6 minus -8, or -6 plus 8, is 2, squared is 4. 36 plus 4 is 40. So that is going to be square root of 4, whoops, square root of 4 times 10, which is going to be 2 square root of 10. Or if you're using the calculator, if it's asking for the decimal, you hit 40 and then hit square root and you get 6.3. So depending on which part of the assignment you're doing, it's either this one or this one. Okay, does that help? Good, you're welcome. Okay, folks, I'm going to end today's meeting. If you have questions, please email me and I will talk you through it. All right. Have a good day. Make sure you get your work done. Say no to drugs.